Let's begin by telling you that Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has directed heads of local government administrations to take charge of the 23 council areas of the state. And this follows Monday's expiration of the statutory 3-year tenure of the elected chairman, vice chairman, and councillors. Fubara gave the directive on Tuesday morning in a statewide broadcast. He thanked the elected chairman and the councillors for their service, which, according to him, expired on Monday. Recall that Degema and Asari Toru councils were enveloped by anxiety as youths took over the secretariats following the expiration of the tenure of chairmen, councillors, and other council officials on Monday. And youths who blocked the Degema Council Secretariat vowed to remain there till tomorrow as they burst into solidarity songs demanding the exit of the chairman, Michael John Williams. Earlier, stakeholder Port Harcourt City Project, Tekena Bossi, gave us more updates on this.
Port Harcourt City Local Government Chairman, Orwell Honda, is loyal to the Yesum Wiki-led faction, and by rights, their tenure expired, by 12:30 a.m. Today, and we got information that they were coming to invade the council secretariat and steal the council properties. And we have to move. We have to forge ahead early hours of this morning to secure the council secretariat. Not for them to now come in today with wicked security aids, and they started shooting at us, threw tear gas at us. But we resisted them, and we still stayed there. They had to reinforce. Just some minutes ago, you can see my eyes all red, and they've been shooting for hours with a lot of tear gas.
In the meantime, Governor Siminalayi Fubara has convened a Security Council meeting with heads of security agencies following recent political developments in the state. The meeting was held behind closed doors at the Government House in Port Harcourt on Tuesday. After the meeting, Fubara told the press that discussions centered on strategies to contain the invasion of local government secretariats. He cautioned the immediate past council chairmen against harboring false hopes of returning to their positions. Fubara, however, raised alarm over the alleged plan by his opponents to arrest his supporters. He also pledged to personally protect them, saying anyone attempting such arrest would have to confront him first. And still on Rivers crisis, the chairman of the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, Rivers State Chapter, Orwell Honda, on Tuesday narrowly escaped death as protesting youths chased him along Moscow Road in Port Harcourt, the state capital. Honda, who is the outgoing chairman of the Port Harcourt City Local Government Area, was on his way to the council secretariat with some aides and security details when the incident occurred. It was gathered that he had alighted from his vehicle and tried to make his way into the council, but met a group of youths who occupied the entrance. Recall that the state organ had vowed not to vacate office after the expiration of their tenure on June 17th. I'm joined live by a human rights lawyer, Henry Akine, for more on this. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me.
It's my pleasure to join you this afternoon.
All right, let me kick off by asking, what is the legal framework that empowers Governor Fubara to replace the Rivers Council bosses, and what specific provisions apply in this case?
Well, the fundamental legal framework with respect to local government administration in Rivers State is the Rivers State Local Government Law 2018. And then the instructive section that is relevant to whatever is happening in Rivers State since the last 24 hours is Section 9 of the Rivers State Local Government Law 2018. And then apparently subsection 1 of that Section 9 is clear, unambiguous, without doubt. The tenure of council members, that's elected chairman, vice chairman, or councillors in Rivers State is 3 years and is extant and sacrosanct. And the current, not current, the immediate outgone council members were elected in April of 2021. and sworn into office, took oath of office for 3 years on the 17th of June 2021. So apparently their tenures have all expired in all 23 local government areas last night.
Now, having said
subsections.
Okay, I was going to chip in there, just if I may. How does the replacement, for instance, of 23 council bosses impact the administrative structure of Rivers State government? And then what are the potential consequences for local governance?
Yes, let me take that with where I wanted to drop when you asked the earlier question, the legal framework that probably enabled the governor to constitute or direct the heads of local government administration to take responsibilities. Now, that same section 9 of the Rivers State local government law was to the effect that elections in the case of Rivers State would only be conducted after the expiration of the elected council members. And then where that happens, it will mean that immediately after the expiration of the outgoing elected council members, the governor has the power to constitute caretaker committees, and that's where the governor derived the power. Rather than even constituting the caretaker committees, directed public officers who themselves are the most senior administrative officers in local government in Rivers State, are the head of local government administration, to take responsibility. I think that is within the law, within the provision of Section 9 of the Rivers State local government law. But the impact now, the impact will mean that at least we should have some reasonable stability with the transition of the immediate past local government councils. And today, at least, as we expect the resumption of work tomorrow, it's really been unfortunate and unnecessarily so, where we have reports across the local governments. Even before I got onto this discussion with you, I was trying to get the latest update across local governments, including my local government, Ahoda West local government, and then the local governments across the areas I could reach. And then with the reports that you have got just from your correspondent and then from the analyst in Port Harcourt with respect to the situation in Port Harcourt City local government, and then the closest local governments also Obiakwa local government. I think that moving forward, we should really deepen our democracy to the extent that these kind of behaviors of elected public officers whose terms of office, pursuant to the oaths they've taken, have expired. And their reliance on non-existent law is most undemocratic and, of course, regrettable and ridiculous of the status of Rivers State.
If I may come in at this point. Yes, Mr. Akine, because I still have a couple of questions for you. Talking about implications, what are the implications of this move on the political landscape of Rivers State? And then how might this influence future elections or also political appointments in Rivers State?
I think what this has shown to the electorates who clearly, by our constitution, sovereignty lies with them, is that we should be very careful as to who we elect into offices with the conduct that the local government chairmen have demonstrated and shown this time. Then again, we also should be responsible to our mandate, the mandate we give to these elected officials. And we should know that actually comes from us. So we should be able to sit up and then be sure that when it comes to the expiration of the mandate, we take it back. So in democracy, it's not the way we practice here. The people should be supreme. So if at the expiration of any elected officer, whether a governor, a president, or a council member, and then you refuse to leave, the people gave you the mandate. So they have the right to say, we no longer want you here. So it should be able to shape our electoral process and then even our elections in years to come. Particularly in Rivers State, we believe that in the next 90 days, there should be elections, because that's the requirement of the law, that upon the expiration of the current council, that election should be conducted within 90 days by the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission.
Let's quickly narrow down. Experiences. If I may, let's quickly narrow down on the governor now. I mean, how does Governor Fubara's decision align, for instance, with align or differ from past practices in Rivers State? And what could be the likely reasons behind this approach?
I think what we would say perhaps a bit different here is despite the unnecessary, avoidable, orchestrated crisis, we seem to have relative peace. Perhaps we need to learn as leaders to become and probably deploy only legal means. We have a number of matters that are in court rather than resorting to self-help. Approach the courts for interpretation, just uphold the rule of law, and then have your dispositions and your actions be guided by law. Then again, it's not much different from what we have heard in successive administrations in Rivers State. It was surprising when these issues really broke, and then it became known to many Rivers indigenes and residents that the extant Rivers State law, local government law, enabled the previous governors, including this one, to constitute caretaker committees in violation of the provision of the Constitution, Section 7. But I'm afraid that's the position of an enacted law, legitimately so by the Rivers State House of Assembly. So you have had a situation where the immediate past governor of Rivers State, who is the current minister of the Federal Capital Territory, had the same law that enabled him to constitute caretaker committees when he took office, and then continued with that until he conducted elections within 90 days after the expiration of the last local councils. So for me, it's a thing that has moved from one administration to another, but I think we have to be truly democratic in this country, where we should not have and allow selfish legislators to make those kind of unreasonable laws in our democracy. Why would you enact a law on the floor of a House of Assembly to the effect that elections can only be conducted after the expiration of the holders of an elected office? That's undemocratic. You should have a situation where you conduct elections reasonably before the expiration of the current holders of that office, such that you would have a smooth transition, that those who were elected to replace the outgoing officials should take their oath of office and assume office immediately as those who are exiting leave office, just as we have in the case of the president. The Electoral Act enables a 150 days before the expiration of the current holder of the office. But you have an undemocratic law where you allow the current holders of the office to exit office before elections will be conducted. So the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission is still within the allowable limits of the law to conduct elections 90 days after the expiration. So
and that's a fine place to wrap up.
That could be conducting elections.
I wish we had more time, but thank you so much for your perspective on the news. Henry Akina, human rights lawyer, thank you once again.
And thank you very much. We pray for peace, and we enjoin every politician and every public office holder, even those who have exited office, and all citizens and residents in Rivers State to uphold the peace so we'll all be safe. Thank you.
Calm and normalcy seems to have been restored in Buruku Market, where irate youth, most of them traders, had clashed with the task force of Jos Metropolitan Development Board, who were on an enforcement drive. Our correspondent Chizoba Anyonwe was on the entourage of the commander of the Operation Safe Haven, Major General Abdusalam Abubakar, who paid a visit to the affected areas for an on-the-spot assessment of the incident.
One would say it is unfortunate this incident is coming just 4 days after News Central had held a town hall in Jos for the restoration of peace in the state. However, on arrival at the market after the incident on Monday, some traders had opened their shops for business as usual, while some others were seen standing by theirs, undecided on whether or not to join others. None of the traders foresaw what happened the previous day, and so they are skeptical about how the day will go, especially with the heavy security in place to ensure no further breakdown of law and order. However, as at the time of filing this report, no member of the JMDB task force was seen around the market, but some of the victims of the incident spoke to us.
In their clear terms, they say, Kafito Arna Zamukesheka, that's come out and infidel, we will kill you. They knock, and then one of them said, I Suduga Sungudu, literally translated as they have left already. And then they continued with what they were doing. And to the glory of God, I was there with my two kids, my staffs, and others. And then one of them now said, let's buckle the shop and see whether the infidel is inside. One of them said, allow them, they will roast inside from the smoke that is coming from the burnt cars. My car, my wife's car, 4 other cars were actually burnt.
He wasn't part of this, and look at he's in 200 level law school. You understand? And this is the father of the boy, a limper. You understand? He managed to pay the school fees and take care of his son, his only son.
Please, we are begging the government to come and intervene on this matter. We, the women, we are not happy. The mothers, some of our children that are coming up, they kill them. We are not happy with what happened. So the government should know what to do.
If there is anything from government that they want people to obey, they could have just select the leaders and go to the table, sit down and trash this, because a lot of people are hungry and this is the way they can come here and get their daily bread. So what happened was unfortunate, and I hope this thing is not going to happen again.
One of the major questions on the lips of many who spoke off record include, why would the JMDB, a government agency, work on a public holiday? And among others, why would the security men from the police, civil defense and DSS attached to them shoot at people, which led to the death of 2. While those questions beg for answers, proper management of the situation in order to prevent any further escalation is the call of many.
This is actually where some of those vehicles were set ablaze yesterday by the Emirate youths, but we cannot see any of the vehicles around now. We've been told that they've been taken away, and where they were taken to, we do not know, and so we cannot tell. But as you can see behind me, the General Officer Commanding of 3 Division, Maxwell Kobe Cantonment, and of course the Commander of Operation Safe Haven here in Jos, is on the ground to see the level of destruction of what has happened here yesterday. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyowe.
You're live with News Central Television. Let's take a short break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned. Several youths in Benin City, the Edo State capital, have thrown their weight behind a recent anti-cultism law passed by the Edo State House of Assembly and signed by Governor Godwin Obaseki, aimed at ending the wanton killings of youths in Benin City by rival cult groups. The youths, while taken to the streets of the upper Sakbomba area of the state, condemned the politicians of the state, aiming to use the upcoming governorship poll to settle scores with the state government by condemning the law, saying it will erode the gains made at restoring peace to the state in the last few months. Our correspondent, Amadine Uyi, tells us more.
The youths took to the streets of the Okma-Sakpumba area of Benin City in their numbers. They said the march and gathering is in support of the recent anti-cultism law signed by the state government and condemned the political class in the state for trying to use the upcoming state election to condemn the law.
This gathering of over 500 upper youths in Ikpobaha local government seeks to send a very strong note of warning to troublemakers who wants to cash in on the Edo 2024 governorship election to cause trouble and divide up Sakbomba youths against constituted authority.
They accused the State Labour Party for condemning the law, saying their action will erode the gains made in recent months in trying to restore peace to the state.
We see it as an affront to the ideals of development and good governance portrayed by the Obaseki-led administration. We see that as a negation to the constructive campaign gospel that we have been preaching since the commencement of this movement.
We are all aware the pain and sorrow cultism has brought to homes in Edo, particularly in Edo South, promising youths having all been killed, either by the gun or other dangerous weapons. We totally frown against cultism in Edo State.
The youths, also known as the Upper Sakbomba youths of Benin City, are calling on the political class to engage in responsible campaigns, devoid of instigating violence in the state.
Away from security matters, The 2023 presidential candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, has accused the All Progressive Congress-led federal government of succumbing to ill advice from those he described as enemies of Kano State. Kwankwaso made a remark during the flag-off ceremony for the construction of 82 kilometers rural road networks in his hometown in Madobi by Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf. The accusation follows the ongoing Emirate tussle, where the federal security agencies have reportedly been supporting the deposed Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero. Kwankwaso, a former governor of the state, emphasized that the people of Kano would not tolerate any attempts to undermine the state's constituted authority. And to talk about this, I'm joined by the National Publicity Secretary, New Nigeria's People Party, Ladipo Johnson. Good evening. Glad to have you join me.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Let me kick off by asking you if there is any evidence to support or even refute Kwankwaso's claim that the federal government backed the deposition of the Emir, Bayero.
The deposition, the return, tried to return him, yes. Well, you see, these are things that are out there on the streets. It is known by all. And there are some pointers to it. You cannot blame us for believing that the federal government or some constituted authority have a role to play or have been playing a role. Firstly, you have an order. There was law made by the House of Assembly, and the governor assented to the law. Who allowed or who permitted Ado Bayero, the deposed emir, to come back into Kano under security cover of the military, police, etc.? That's one. Two, you have various incidents where the commissioner of police is going directly against the orders of his chief security officer, who is the governor of the state. Who does the commissioner of police answer to? It's the IG, and the IG answers to the presidency. You understand? Then you look at the cases. Right now, Justice Liman was the one of the Federal High Court Kano that granted some spurious I say, order. The House of Assembly, Speaker, and other defendants are appealing that. They filed a notice of appeal. They didn't file it. They prepared a notice of appeal, tried to file it in court. It was not accepted at the Federal High Court. So they had to go to the Court of Appeal. Filed at the Court of Appeal, the appeal was entered. In law, when we say the appeal is entered, it means that it now has a suit number at the Court of Appeal. This was brought to the notice of Justice Liman. He said, oh, and he should stop. Order 4, Rule 11 of the Court of Appeal Rules, 2021. He should have stopped. But he said, no, I'm still going to go on with the matter. So when you see all these things, and on Thursday, that's 2 days' time, he is going to be ruling, saying that he, most likely saying that the law passed by, the Emirate law passed by the House of Assembly is null and void. Meanwhile, you know you have no jurisdiction on chieftaincy matters. He claimed that his jurisdiction was because fundamental rights of Ado Bayero were touched. So these are the things that are making us look at the whole situation again and say that what is going on.
But now let's narrow down on the federal government.
Yes.
What are the potential implications, for instance, for the federal government being involved in the deposition of the traditional ruler, looking at the balance of power between the federal government and also state governments in Nigeria?
The federal government has nothing whatsoever to do with chieftaincy. Anyone that's read the law or whatever knows that. Plethora of cases. It's the state, and in some cases, the local governments. So, when Sanusi was deposed, he left. They even banished him. This Ganduje of a man banished him, APC national chairman, as former governor. And there was no trouble. They changed the law, the House of Assembly, the governor assented to it, and Sanusi was returned. Why is there all this trouble all of a sudden?
So would you
why
say...
do we not have...
Just to chip in there, would you say Kwankwaso's claim isn't valid in this
It's very
land?
valid. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you can't blame him from saying that. You can't blame Buba Galadima for saying that President Tinubu should watch what he's doing. If he doesn't know what is going on, then it is bad. And if he knows what is going on and he's doing nothing about it, it's even worse. Do you understand? You cannot blame us for what we're saying because the optics are very bad. It is clear to us. Now, you started by asking me for proof. And I say to you, in politics, in the mafia, and in the military, the three are similar. You don't need proof beyond reasonable doubt. When you see these things, you know that only someone in the presidency can allow them, or someone higher, say, okay, deploy the military.
Now, having said that,
yes,
how might this incident, for instance, affect relationship between the Nigerian government and also traditional rulers in Kano State, for instance, the Emir of Kano, both in the short and long term?
No, in the long term, what happens is that all these things, together with the way the economy is and how Nigerians are feeling at the moment, just adds to the woes that this government has. It makes people feel, and the traditional rulers, that this government is inept and is getting involved in things that do not concern it. It should be working on bringing down inflation and doing other things. It's changing national anthem, it's doing irrelevant things. That is what we're saying. And when the trouble begins, no one is threatening. I always say, when the trouble begins, Kano is a volatile state. They now say, oh, it's an NNPP state. We're the leaders. You don't cheat people like that. They know what is going on. They're very savvy, Kano people, politically savvy.
Okay, just to build up on what you hinted on, talking about volatility, what role do political parties play in shaping relationship between the government, traditional institutions in Nigeria, and how does this relate to Kwankwaso's accusations?
What happens is this. Look, political parties, either in government or in opposition, are meant to ensure that constitutionality reigns. Do you understand? We say to our supporters, please obey the rule of law. Follow due court process. You do that. Then you relate with the government, either the government in the center or the government at the state level, and say, look, this, you are now making it political. It isn't political. There was an emirate, over 100 years, single emirate. Some governor came, broke it down, sent Sanusi away, and broke it down into 5 emirates. The people didn't like it. They kept telling us everywhere we went to campaign. It was a campaign promise that we will revert. And we kept that promise. Fine. But then a few of them, unfortunately I have to say, APC supporters, now gathered and started using this emirship thing as a political thing. And we say that it is clear to us, they have denied it, I must say. The presidency has denied it, but we don't believe them. It's clear to us that what they couldn't achieve through the tribunal that was stopped by the Supreme Court in trying to wrest Kano from us, they're trying to do. Because once there's chaos, we have a state of emergency. Let's go to National Assembly. And the president appoints someone.
Well, I wish we had more time, but that's a fine place to wrap up. Thank you so much for your insight on the news. National Publicity Secretary, New Nigeria's People's Party, Ladipo Johnson.
Thanks
for
having
once again.
Me. Thank you.
Sons and daughters of Ijebu-Ode have gathered to celebrate the annual Ojude-Oba festival. Ojude-Oba is an ancient festival celebrated by the Yoruba people of Ijebu-Ode, a major town in Ogun State, southwestern Nigeria. This annual festival usually takes place the 3rd day after Eid-el-Kabir to pay homage and show respect to the Royal Majesty, the Awujale of Ijebu land. It is one of the most spiritual and glamorous festivals celebrated in Ijebu land and generally known in Ogun State as a whole. The Federal Road Safety Corps Zone 11 Command, comprising Osun, Ondo and Oyo State on Tuesday say 9 deaths were recorded in 13 road accidents which occurred within its jurisdiction during the first 3 days of the Eid al-Kabir holiday. The command also said 78 others who sustained varying degrees of injuries in the crashes involving 21 vehicles. 128 people were swiftly conveyed to hospitals across the zone, while 41 other persons were rescued without injuries during the period. Reviewing activities in the first 3 days of the command's special operation for the Eid al-Kabir celebration, the acting zonal commanding officer for the zone, Leye Adegboyega, said the corps deployed a total of 3,018 personnel, 57 patrol vehicles, 5 ambulances and 2 heavy-duty tow trucks during the period. And now to some health matters. According to the Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Akin Abayomi, Lagos Island has the highest number of suspected cholera cases, with 106 of 350 suspected cases in the state. Mr. Abayomi disclosed this on Monday through his official X account while giving an update on the state's cholera outbreak. Today, our correspondent Bettina Unweli took to the streets to find out the level of awareness of the public on the recent cholera outbreak.
In the bustling city of Lagos, Nigeria, an unseen enemy lurks in the waters. An outbreak of cholera has gripped the city, leaving families devastated and communities on edge. Cholera, a bacterial infection caused by ingesting contaminated water or food, thrives in areas with poor sanitation. In Lagos, where clean water and proper sanitation are luxuries, the disease looks set to spread like wildfire if not properly contained.
Cholera is a disease that has almost been stamped out of many countries. Why is it just resurfacing in 2024? That's the question we should be asking ourselves. What has changed? Fundamentally, what has really changed is the state of disposable income of Lagosians generally. There's no other country where you see waste being managed the way it's being managed. In a state like Lagos State especially, you know. I mean, how do you rationalize state of aquatic splendor? That's what we call ourselves. And there's no potable water.
On Thursday, they used to do general cleaning, but not all of them normally do it. So cleaning of gutters, at least if government will enhance it, that they should do more. All these poly bags, all those things that they throw away, they should try to find means to caution the people.
Lagos is dirty. You know, if you move around Lagos, we move around every blessed day. You know, there's some certain area in Lagos is an eyesore. Drainage is not working. The canal is messed up. So it contributes. And the environment, people are not helping matter. People that stay in the environment, they are not helping matter. Like those days, 90s, early 2000s, you know, we used to have this environmental, everybody will be indoor. That outside, everybody will come out. They'll clean up the environment, but it's not working. It contributes all those, you know.
Cholera strikes quickly, causing severe dehydration and, if left untreated, death. For many in Lagos, access to medical care is limited. Education is key in preventing the spread of cholera. Teaching children and families about hygiene practices can make a significant difference.
Every state will have a dump site that has to be systematically managed. What you now do with the waste is a totally different thing. As a resident, on the one hand, government is solely responsible for managing that dump site, and it is going to be decommissioned in less than 24 months, not 2060. When it is decommissioned, it means that nobody continues to take waste there anymore.
We must harness the growth potential.
Speaking about hygiene, the government had made a promise to decommission the Olusosun dump site. The question now is how soon this will happen. On the bright side, Lagos State has developed a track record for preventing diseases from ravaging its population. The cases of Ebola and COVID-19 being reference points. It is then the expectation that the state will once again live up to its reputation in this threat of a cholera outbreak. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Unwili.
Thank you for staying with us. The news continues in West Africa, where Niger rebels fighting for the release of a West African country's democratically elected leader have disabled parts of a crucial pipeline carrying crude oil to Benin. Formed after Bazoum's ouster, the rebel Patriotic Liberation Front said it had targeted the pipeline as a message to Niger's new military generals. The group's leader, Mohamed Salah, called on the Chinese company WAPCO and the state-owned China National Petroleum Corporation, which run the pipeline, to halt their funding to Niger's army regime. Vital to both Nigerian and Beninese economies, the 2,000-kilometer-long pipeline has become the subject of diplomatic dispute between the two West African neighbors. Since a military coup on July 26, Niger's President Mohamed Bazoum has been imprisoned at the presidential palace in the capital, Niamey. In East Africa, Kenya's government has walked back plans to impose multiple tax hikes, announcing amendments to a controversial bill that sparked angry protests. Hundreds of mostly young demonstrators assembled near Parliament on Tuesday, with police firing tear gas and making arrests. Hours later, the presidency announced that it would scrap many of the bill's most contentious provisions, including taxes on bread and car ownership. The new taxes contained in the finance bill were expected to help the cash-strapped administration generate some 346.7 billion shillings to boost revenue and cut government borrowing. In addition to the proposed motor vehicle tax, the amendments will also do away with increased taxes on financial and mobile services. In Southern Africa, South Africa is all set for presidential inauguration, which will take place on Wednesday at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. This is after Cyril Ramaphosa was re-elected as the president of South Africa at the first sitting of the National Assembly of the 7th Democratic Administration, which was held in Cape Town. Section 87 of the Constitution of Republic of South Africa prescribes that the president of the country must be sworn in within 5 days after his or her election by the National Assembly. Regional and international visitors are expected to grace the occasion. In Central Africa, the lawyer to an American on trial in DR Congo over an alleged coup bid has told the court that he was tortured during his arrest. Taylor Thompson, 21, is one of 3 Americans among 51 defendants being tried at a military court in the capital, Kinshasa. On May 19th, armed men attacked the Home Economy Minister, Vital Kamerhe, in the early hours before moving on to the nearby Palace de la Nation that houses President Felix Tshisekedi's offices. They were filmed brandishing the flag of Zaire, the name of the Central African country during the rule of dictator Mobutu Sese Seko, and chanting that Tshisekedi's government was over. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says it is inconceivable that U.S. had been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel, adding that U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken assured him during the last visit to the Middle East that the administration is working day and night to remove those bottlenecks.
When Secretary Blinken was recently here in Israel, we had a candid conversation. I said I deeply appreciated the support the U.S. has given Israel from the beginning of the war. But I also said something else. I said it's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel. Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life, fighting against Iran and our other common enemies. Secretary Blinken assured me that the administration is working day and night to remove these bottlenecks. I certainly hope that's the case. It should be the case. During World War II, Churchill told the United States, "Give us the tools, we'll do the job." And I say, give us the tools and we'll finish the job a lot faster.
The Nigerian Investment Promotion Council has raked in a total sum of 9.2 billion naira as revenue from charges impose on the issuance of pioneer status incentive to eligible companies and renewal fees in 4 years. The Commission, charged with the responsibility of granting tax holidays to eligible companies, made an average of 1 billion naira annually, according to an analysis its internally generated revenue between 2020 and 2023. Dr. Samson Simon, Chief Economist, ARC Economics and Data Limited, joined us on Business Edge for more on this.
Problem, so you're granted tax waivers. So some of established companies within, what they do is they set up an arm and then they want to claim these tax waivers. And it is not really good for the Nigerian economy. So another thing we need to consider is that these tax waivers are normally, for the pioneer status in particular, for 3 years, and with the possibility of extension up to 2 years. So after you have done your 3 years, the authorities concerned will look at what you have done, the benefits expected. If it's worth it, if you actually need that extension, they'll grant you such extension. But if in all honesty, they look at it and the evidence does not support an extension, they wouldn't grant. That was why they refused to grant extensions for all the companies that applied for such.
On the sports scene, the Nigeria Union of Journalists FCT Correspondents Chapel has unveiled the tournament ambassador for the second edition of the Chapel's football tournament. The Chapel unveiled former Super Eagles defender Chikule Eloniese as the tournament ambassador in the nation's capital, Abuja. The chairman of the Chapel, Jide Oyekunle, says that 3-day tournament aims to foster unity and strengthen the relationship between the media and participating organizations.
The 3-day tournament is aimed at strengthening the relationships between the media and participating organizations. We are using this football to promote and shape the synergy with these organizations, particularly the security agencies, whom our members always interface with on a daily basis. It is my pleasure to inform you that 14 teams drawn from the security agencies, government organizations, and professional bodies will be participating in this second edition of the tournament.
FC Cologne have completed the signing of Nigerian midfielder Chilohem Onuwa from RB Leipzig. The 18-year-old midfielder joins Cologne on a free transfer and has been immediately loaned out to third division side SC Verl to gain valuable first-team experience. Onuwa, a promising talent, made his switch to FC Cologne after developing his skills in RB Leipzig's youth academy. The move is seen as a strategic step for Cologne, aiming to bolster their future midfield options while providing Onuwa with the opportunity to develop further thorough regular playing time at SC Verl. FC Cologne's decision to loan Onuwa to SC Verl highlight their commitment to nurturing young talent by ensuring they receive ample playing time in competitive matches. And that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Governor Fubara has replaced 23 local council bosses in Rivers State as their tenure expires. Rebels loyal to the deposed Niger Republic's ousted president have destroyed oil pipelines. We also told you that Kenya's government has amended controversial multiple tax hikes bill following protests. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adeduba.